sorry about that, anybody who saw me on the previous video. Anyway, hopefully it's worked now. Welcome to today's Yin Yoga session. Today we're going to be doing a session called Friends with Benefits, which I know is a bit of a naughty title, but I think it really got some people's attention. And what I want to do today is just to start, we're going to have a few moments, a few minutes, and I want you to just think of a few words, just the first that come to mind, that you appreciate in a friend. So I'm not going to prompt you on what those might be, but just see what words come to mind. Anything, even just one or two is fine, just a couple. So today's session, if you've got any props, great. Blocks are useful, or two books of the same height. A blanket is good, and I would grab something to raise you up. That can just be a couple of cushions or a pillow or anything, just that you can lie over at the end. So if you're near a sofa or your bed, just grab something now that you could use. And then when you've done that, if you just want to come into a seated position or lying, if you prefer, then let's start the session. So close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a deep breath in through the nose and then breathe out through the mouth. Expel the air. And again, deep breath in through the nose. Out through the mouth. One more, breathe in through the nose, deep breath. And out. Allowing the body to just relax with the out breath. Noticing if you are holding any tension anywhere. And see if it's possible just to loosen that tension a little, if possible. Even just a little bit. And then just to start with, ask yourself the question, what is important to me in a friend? And don't spend a lot of time and effort thinking about this question. Just see which words come to you, if any. Without allowing your mind to go off on a tangent about why that may be, for example, or thinking about specific friends or any of that. Just words that come to you. And just softly hold those words as we do the practice today. We'll bring them back later on, but just let them go for now. Open your eyes and we'll move into the first pose, which I've forgotten. Ah yes, we're just going to start with a cat-cow just to loosen up the back and the hips a bit. So go onto hands and knees. I'm just going to take this off. Hands and knees. Just making sure you're comfortable. And then just breathe out. Neutral position. And as you breathe in, then just arch the spine. As you breathe out, curve the spine. Breathe in, arch. Breathe out, curve. In, arch. Don't try to look like me, just do the arching and the curving in your own way. Out, curve. Doing it in your own time with your own breath. And then on the next curve, I want you to bring your hips down to the heels. So still curving, but also stretching the arms out. And then coming back up to arching again. And then curving, you're still curving the spine, but you're bringing the hips down to the heels and you're stretching the arms. Then coming up again. Again, continuing to do this with the breath, but in your own time. You don't have to do it in time with me. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable. Feeling the movements. Not just doing them automatically, but feeling them. Where do you feel them? And you might want to bring in another movement. So this time, arching the spine. And then curving, you might want to make some circles. Big circles with the spine. So arching and curving the spine. But making circles this time. And they don't have to be exactly to the left and exactly to the right. They can be moving back a bit, forwards. They can even just be going round. The circles can be going round, perhaps not with even that much arching and curving. And you can keep, you might even want to add an up dog. So basically what I want you to do here is just be organic. Move wherever the body wants you to move, making sure that you go the opposite direction as well. Swaying the hips, moving from side to side. Doing whatever the body wants you to do. You can even go into down dog if you wanted to. Just stretch out the back of the body, the backs of the legs. And then just do it a couple more times, whatever's comfortable. And then come back to hands and knees. And then from here, we're going to move into a bit of a hybrid pose. So sit down on the heels. Half frog, half anahatasana. So first of all, just open the knees and then fold forward. So this is frog, or one form of frog anyway. And the target area here is the inside thighs. If you aren't feeling very much stretch on the inside thighs, first of all, you can open them a bit more. You can open them a bit more, fold forward again, see how that is. You can try separating the feet if you want to. Maybe that might give you the right amount of stretch. Or for some people, you may feel that it's still not enough. So you might want to come up and move the hips forward a bit. Now, I don't have an awful lot of range of movement in my hips. So don't watch me about how I do it. But some people, for example, they might be able to just bring their hips forward, but maybe not go up as much as me. So just play with that. Play with the position of the feet, the position of the legs. Yeah, and you can go up a bit and go forward as well. That's fine. So yeah, you can bring the hips forward also. Obviously, pad your knees if they're digging into the floor. Now, what I'd also like to bring in, if possible, is a kind of Anahatasana, melting heart. So basically, once you've found the leg position, stretch the arms out. And what we want to feel here is we want to feel a stretch on the under part of the arm, the front of the shoulders. Now, that may mean that you don't fold over completely. That is fine. And it may be that you don't really feel that much stretch in the arms as well, because especially if you're folded over a lot already. And you can also, if you're feeling a pinching sensation in the shoulders, you can separate the hands as well. It's quite common to feel a pinching in the front of the front shoulder. I am in my left shoulder, for example, so I'm going to move my left arm out a bit more. And then we're going to stay in this for 3 minutes now. So once you've found the pose, just play with it, experiment with it to find where you're getting the stretch on the inside thighs, the stretch as well, ideally, in the back of the arms, the under part of the arms, I should say, and the shoulders. And then just allow yourself to relax. For anybody who hasn't done yin yoga before, we stay in these poses for a number of minutes. So it's really important to play with the poses and find what suits you and your body, even if that looks completely different to me, which it may well do. That's absolutely fine. It's more about what we feel in the body, not what it looks like. And also what I'd like you to do here is go back to the words that we were thinking of. What makes a good friend? And the idea today is actually that I want you to try and bring some of those elements that are important for you in a friend to yourself. So ultimately, to be a better friend to yourself. So ask yourself the question, what would this moment, so this pose, this moment, feel like with a bit of fill in the blank? And that blank being something that you appreciate in a friend. Honesty, kindness, fun, anything that you thought of before. What would this moment feel like with a bit of something? And then just really take that in. See if you can bring that quality to this moment, and this one, and this one. And then we're going to move out of this pose. So then just walk the hands up to the center. Bring the knees in gently. And then you can either sit on the heels or you can fold over into child's pose. And just as a rebound, just close your eyes. Notice how the body feels, particularly the areas that we just stretched, the inside thighs, maybe the under part of the arms, front shoulders, and anywhere else you felt that pose in. How is it feeling? And again, for anybody new today, anybody new to Yin Yoga, then often you find these moments of stillness and silence in a neutral pose called the rebound or the resonance pose, which is a chance for you to feel the effects of the stimulation that you just put in the body in that Yin Yoga pose. It's a really important part of the practice. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Dragon. This can be quite challenging for a lot of people, so I think it's a good one to do today with what we're doing, with these holding the moments. You might want black blocks, maybe not. I do. It's helpful for me. And also if your knees are quite bony and they tend to dig into the floor, then I'd suggest just putting a folded up blanket underneath. Again, mine do, so I'm going to do that. So hands and knees. Hands and knees, and then I would like you to bring your right foot forward, in between the hands. So you can stay, you can use the blocks to put your hands on if you want, or you just put the hands on the floor. What we're looking for, the target area are the hip flexors of the back leg, possibly going into the quads. We want a mild to moderate sensation there. So if it's too much here, then bring the knee a bit further forward. If it's not enough, take the knee further back, stretch it out more. Keep going as far as you need to if you're not feeling it. And even for those of you, those bendy people out there, if you're still not getting enough stretch, then you might choose to perhaps bend the knee. That may be helpful. And also remember, you can use the position of the torso, moving a bit to the right, to the left. You can even walk over to one side if you want to. The hands don't necessarily need to be on the outside, on either side of the foot. If you want to bring them inside, then that's fine as well. So play with the position of the feet, play with the position of the hands. Relax the body. Let gravity bring you down. See how that stretches. For anyone else who's still not feeling the stretch in the back, another option is to come up. Active dragon. Or just dragon, actually. No, active dragon. Close your eyes again, if you're okay with that. And again, bring one of those words, maybe the same one, maybe a different one. How would this moment feel with a bit more, insert word here. And then really meditate on that. And by meditate, I don't mean deep thinking as such, but just see if you can bring that in a physical sense. How could I adjust this pose if I wanted more fun to it, or if I wanted more gentleness to it, whatever word it is that you've got in your mind, more open-mindedness, could be anything. How could you adjust this pose to be more friendly to yourself? If at any point that stretch gets too much in the back leg, bring the knee closer towards you. It can get quite intense for a lot of people, me included. Okay, so we're just going to do a bit of a variation. So we're going to do a twisted dragon. So we're going to come up. I want you to, or you can keep that hand, you can keep the left hand down if you want actually. Put the right hand on the hip and then twist round. So you can either keep that left hand on the floor or the block, or you could put it on the knee if you want. Now remember, this is yin, we are trying to keep this relatively passive, so stay in the pose that you are relatively relaxed in. And then see if you can relax the muscles. We won't be in this version massively long because I'm aware it is challenging. See if you can relax. Not push. Not be active. Okay, so then we're going to go back down again. So then just twist to the front, hands on either the blocks or the floor, and then push gently on that front foot. The toes come up, and then what you're doing is you're moving into a kind of runner's lunge. So here the stretch is on the back hamstring, the back of the right leg. Again, your hands can be on the floor or on the blocks. You can be up like me here, or what you might want to do is sit down, although you may lose the stretch in the back of the leg if you sit on the heel. This is more of a counter pose. We're not going to be in this for long. So if you wanted to make that a little bit active, then just gently kind of pulse. A little bit of movement, perhaps moving backwards and forwards a bit. And then we're going to move to the other side. So, onto hands and knees again. Bring the left foot between the hands to start with. Use the blocks if you want to. And then, as before, play with the pose. So if you want more stretch, you can move that back leg further back. You can also move that front foot further forward, basically making more space here between the legs. Put something underneath the back knee, if your knee's digging into the floor. And then, as I said, if you still want more stretch, then what you can also do is you can play with the torso, you can play with the position of the legs. You can move that leg out to the side. You might want to go down onto the elbows, fold forward a lot more. That may give you the right amount of stretch. Something you can stay in for about 2.5 minutes now. For me today, and it's not always the same, because sometimes I prefer to have my hands on the inside of the foot, but today, for me, I want to have the hands on either side. Close your eyes, if you're okay closing your eyes, if that's all right for you. Some people aren't so keen on it. See if you can relax the muscles a bit, allow gravity to bring you down. And although we're aiming for stillness, by all means adjust the body if you need to at any point, if you're feeling the stimulations too much or if you lose it. But just make that movement, make that adjustment with attention. Paying attention moment by moment. Not losing the present. And then again, bringing back one of those words. How would this moment feel if I brought some to it? This moment and this one. This one. This one. Notice if you're tensing or clenching anything. See if you can let go. And then let's move into that twist. So as I said, you can keep that right hand down on the floor of the block, put the left hand on the waist, somewhere, anywhere, doesn't matter where, on the leg, whatever. And then just bring that twist to the side. You can come up if you want to as well, that's fine. You can move into any variation you like, actually, of Twisted Dragon. If you find there's another variation you prefer, then by all means you can do that. You choose. As long as we've got a twist here and you're still feeling that stretch on the back hip flexor. Even if that stretch has changed a bit. For me, I haven't got it quite as much, but that's okay. How would this moment feel? Notice your breath, always notice your breath. If it ever feels strained, it doesn't feel natural, then the likelihood is that you're in too deep. So then back off or come out. And in fact, we're all going to come out now. So untwist back to the center, hands down, push on that front foot gently. You may well feel fragile, very, very common in coming out of yin yoga poses. And then go into that runner's lunge. See if you can feel a stretch, a counter pose stretch on the back of that leg. And as I said, if you want to just pulse a little bit, so just move up and down a little bit, just to really feel that stretch. Yeah, you can even bring the toe down a bit if you wanted to, perhaps pointing and flexing and extending, moving the leg as a counter pose. Okay, and then just going back onto your knees, just a quick rebound. So again, sitting on your knees or folded forward into child's pose. Notice how the legs are feeling. Notice how you are feeling. And then we're going to finish today with a side stretch. So as I mentioned at the beginning, just grab something that can just raise you up a little bit. It can be anything. I'm going to use, for example, a couple of cushions. That in itself isn't really going to be high enough. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't need to be massively high, but it needs to give you a little bit of height. So I'm just going to double them up there. And then what I want you to do then is sit in a kind of deer position, although actually a comfortable position. It doesn't really matter what your legs are like, to be honest, as long as you're sideways and your hip is next to whatever you've got to raise you up. Keep your legs comfortable. Legs aren't actually important here. And then we're going to go sideways. So just position yourself sideways and then just fold over. Getting comfortable, moving the hips if you need to, and then bring the arm overhead as well. So what we want to feel here is a mild to moderate stretch on the side. And you can play as well. So for example, you can just kind of open up the chest. So basically rolling backwards. That may give you more stretch on the side. Play with that, experiment with it. We're going to do a couple of minutes on each side. So just find where the nicest stretch is in the place that you want it. So for me, I'm actually feeling this quite strongly actually on the left hip, although I know I'm having some issues in the lower back on the left side, so it could well be related to that. So I'm just going to listen to my body. Is that okay, or is that actually painful? If it's painful, I'm going to move out, but actually I feel like that is a nice stretch that I'm okay to stay in for about a minute and a half now. So play with that experiment, find it for you. Then close your eyes and enjoy the pose. Asking yourself again, if you like, how would this moment feel with a little I need to be careful not to fall asleep here. This is actually really nice. We need to go to the other side. So bring that top arm down, gently push yourself up, and then just bring whatever you've got to raise the hips to the other side. Not quite the hips, but I'm just turning it around to the other side so you can see me. You don't need to do it this way. Place your legs in whatever is comfortable for you. Knees are okay. Props next to your hip, to your left hip this time. And then position yourself so you're going down sideways. I mean, in fact, if lying is too far for you, you can go on your elbow as well. That's also fine. If you've got enough stimulation, enough stretch in the right side, otherwise go down completely. You can stretch the leg out as well, by the way. It doesn't need to be bent. And then the same thing, just move the torso forwards, backwards. Where does that give you the right stretch on the right side to stay in for a couple of minutes? Relaxing the body, relaxing the muscles as much as you can. also feel this in your back. I'm feeling this in my lower back, which is good. How would this moment feel if I brought a little in this moment and this one? And before we come up, we're going to move into Shavasana from this. So just have a think about where you want to spend your Shavasana. You can either lie on your back, perhaps in pentacle style with the arms and the legs out like a starfish, or you can lie on your front. You can even bend the knees if you want to, just in a relaxed, neutral position. Or you can sit for the last couple of minutes, which is what I'm going to do. You choose, but just gently make your way into whatever your final rest pose is going to be. Make sure you're comfortable, make sure that you're warm. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in again through the nose, out through the mouth. As we did at the start, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And in a minute or so, you're going to hear a bell. And that bell is going to signify the end of our practice. But I really want you to wait. You'll hear it 3 times. And just wait until the sound of that 3rd chime has just gone completely and you can't hear it anymore. Then after that, take your time, make your way slowly back to a seated position if you're not seated already. Perhaps keeping the eyes closed for a bit. Just very slowly coming back into the world without rushing. And now I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you enjoyed this short yin yoga practice. Let me know what you think of these sessions, this specific one or any others that I do. And also please tell me if you would like to do any specific theme, be that physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, energetically, anything at all. Let me know and I'll give it a go. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you